Why, hello everybody, it is Kyle here with Unboxed Autos, and thanks for joining us today. We actually have something pretty special to show you guys, and that is the 2022 Lexus IS 500F Sport. So we have the keys right here to the 2022 IS 500. What we're going to go ahead and do our standard exterior walk around. We're going to go ahead and talk about the interior as well, and then really most importantly, on the IS 500. We're going to go ahead and take it for a drive. We are here in Northern Virginia in the Shenandoah National Park, so we have some nice driving roads. Weather hasn't really been cooperating with us today. It's been raining, but it is in the mid-50s, which is nice. So, we should have a nice time in the IS 500, giving you guys a little tour of how it drives. Now, what's really unique about this car in particular is that it really is probably going to be one of the last, if not the last, sports sedan for sale in the United States from any car manufacturer that has a naturally aspirated V8 engine under the hood. Obviously, as we all know, with fuel economy regulations, not to mention the push for electric vehicles, dropping a V8 engine in a sports sedan, not very common these days. So even BMW doesn't do this, right? So, we talk about M3, we have turbocharged 6 these days. Now, that's not to say that the IS 500 competes with the M3, because it doesn't really. And we'll get more into that in a minute, but let's go ahead now and start talking about the exterior of this beautiful vehicle. Now, the IS 500 really continues that beautiful exterior styling that all IS models have to offer. However, there are a few distinct differences on the IS 500, which give it just that more aggressive stance, that more aggressive body language. As you can see here, we have the front grille. It's done in a black. We also have these side air dam vents here below the wheels. We have these little slats in here for design element. And we have the tri-beam LED headlamps. And we have these really nifty 19-inch sport wheels. I think these wheels look really, really nice. We have the Lexus brake calipers there done in black with the Lexus stamping there on the outside. We have a F Sport badging, of course, on the sides, which is nice. And continuing around the rear, I think the rear of this car really just looks absolutely incredible. We have a lot of competition in this segment. We have the BMW 3 Series, the Audi A4, Mercedes-Benz C-Class. When it comes to exterior styling, I really have to hand it to Lexus, because this car, it just looks so graceful, so sporty, and I think that it really fits their brand identity really well too. As you can see down here, we have the quad-tipped exhaust that is specific here to the IS 500 as well. So you'll know when you see the quad-tipped exhaust that you're actually looking at the 500. There's also a little bit more of a scoop in the hood as well up front to make room for the large naturally aspirated engine. Now, that's what really makes this car special, and that's the 5-liter V8. And it sounds really incredible, just especially too on the road when it's building speed. It sounds so good. It does 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds. It pumps out 472 horsepower and 395 pound-feet of torque. It is all to a rear-wheel drive. So this is a true performance car, a true track car. It is really ready to hit the road and perform at a high level. Now, it's not really an M3 competitor. It doesn't sit in that category. It's really uniquely Lexus in the way that it performs and the way that it handles on the road. And it's really like it's a sports sedan, so it has a very sporty aspect to it, but it's also quite comfortable and relaxed compared to, say, like I said, an M3. Now, it's priced at $56,500 to start, and the IS 500 comes standard with the F Sport Dynamic Handling Package, which includes an adaptive variable Torsten suspension, limited slip differential, and that improves handling and things like that. Now, they also improved the performance of this IS with the Yamaha rear performance dampener system as well. So it handles quite well on the road. And we're going to go ahead though now, we're going to step on into the inside, talk about how it drives, which is arguably the most important part of the IS 500. As you can see here, we also have some IS badging here on the bottom of the steering wheel as well. But this steering wheel is going to be seen in the other IS models. Again, this is an F Sport, not a true F model. And Lexus wants us to remember that. So when we first get in here inside, you'll notice that it's looking a little dated. And this has been the same interior for a very long time, many years, at least 5 years, if not more. They've done some updates. Recently, we've gotten the rounded air vents here, which look cool. And, you know, they do a 360-degree swivel. But, you know, things like the door handles, rather hard plasticky door panels here, very kind of boring looking. The window controls, very plasticky. There is this textured interior material here and softer door panels. I do really like the steering wheel, to be honest with you. Nice paddle shifters, buttons are acceptable. Again, Lexus logo here front and center, obviously. F Sport badging right down there. We have, of course, push to start. And yeah, I mean, it's a two-tier design here, a little stitching. So as far as, you know, interior goes, the IS is going to be more near the bottom of the list as far as, you know, comparison to the others in the segment. Heated seats, cooled seats, heated steering wheel. We have our different drive mode selection buttons here, which we'll go into more detail in just a moment into those. The seats, I really must say, the seats are really comfortable though. Although they don't necessarily look like anything super special, they're very comfortable. And these side bolsters are very supportive without being overly intrusive. So I think the seats really do, as far as comfort, get an A+. So now we're going to go ahead and start it up. When you start the IS 500, you get a really nice little roar. There it is. It's very nice. It pushes the RPMs when you initially start it to about 1600 RPMs, which is nice. Gives it a nice little roar. Now, although this gauge cluster has been in the IS for quite a long time, I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite gauge clusters in any vehicle. Right up there, you know, with the Porsche cluster. It just is so cool. So first off, this is, you know, standard view. Obviously a big emphasis on the tachometer and your speed. You can also move it over to display some additional driving information as well. Uniquely though enough, the IS 500 actually gets 25 miles to the gallon on the highway, which is pretty impressive. All right, now when we, let's say, go into a different mode, like sport mode, changes the gauge cluster a little bit there, all the way to Sport Plus. Now that's when things really start to happen. We're going to notice a difference in handling. We're going to really maximize the performance capabilities. The transmission is going to change. Obviously, we see the most aggressive change on the tachometer there. It turns to a deep white background, kind of a little bit of an LFA throwback there, which looks really neat. We have, of course, the signature Lexus clock right here, front and center. And we have our updated multimedia system. Now, what's really nice about this one is that it is now touch screen. So before we didn't have that, and that was kind of a big downer. It was annoying to use this touchpad right here. So we have the touchpad right here, this Lexus touchpad. It's okay. It's not bad for when you're, you know, just wanting to maybe change, you know, maybe you want to go from audio to phone. When you're trying to enter a destination or enter an address, it could be quite annoying. So what's great now is that, you know, it's touch. So we can go ahead and touch most functions are touch. So for instance, if we want to go to audio over here, we can touch audio, it goes there. Projection, we can do that, as you can see. So within projection, we have Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. So if you plug in your device, you can actually get that here, which I know is important for most everybody these days. And yeah, so obviously nice display overall. It is obviously dated. The display, as far as the interface, is somewhat dated, but it gets the job done. And this car, really, what's really about is the driving and the performance of this guy. So what we're going to head down and do is get started, take it for a spin. All right, guys. So what we're looking at here is 472 horsepower from the V8 engine, naturally aspirated, all to the rear wheels. It sounds really good too, not gonna lie. And get it here in Sport Plus. It builds power so nicely. Just kind of on the throttle a little bit. How it sounds. Oof. Oh, it sounds good. I've driven lots of BMWs, Audis, etc. They sound obviously really good in a different way, right? The Audis, BMWs, Mercedes, AMG, you get more of a crackle, more of a pop. This car, though, is more or less like a loud, deep growl, which is also very satisfying. Now, again, as I was saying before, we're not comparing the IS500 to the BMW M3 or the AMG 63, really, because this car was not meant for that. It's not an F model, it's an F Sport model, which they put a V8 engine in. So, well, sure, it has some more advanced performance capabilities, not just the engine, also, the handling and steering and suspension. But it's, really meant to showcase what Lexus Sport performance is all about. And it has plenty of power, very smooth driving car, obviously. Again, 0 to 60 in that that low 4-second range, and it's really a joy to drive on, especially we're here in the mountains. And a couple things that are important to note about this car. One is that it has still some noticeable body roll when you're driving it hard. Now, right now we're not driving it hard at all, so it's a very nice, tight, composed ride. But when you really get into it and you hit the curves hard, which we haven't done today at all, obviously because of the weather. It's raining a bit and the roads are very wet, have lots of rocks on them from the thaw that's going on here right now. It's quite warm, it's 60 degrees. But anyway, so it's not going to really be the sportiest of cars you can buy for around the $60,000 mark once you add an option or two. And that's okay, though. It's uniquely Lexus in a way that's extremely comfortable. But yet it still provides lots of performance fun when you want it to. And, again, when we look at this vehicle in the segment, it's uniquely positioned in terms of pricing. So it's definitely costing a lot less than, the high performance models from BMW and Mercedes-Benz. And it's really competing uniquely with like a step up in like an M340i or something like that. It's it's a unique proposition. And another thing that's very interesting about the IS500 is that we have a naturally aspirated V8 engine. And that's significant. As I was saying earlier, this is probably the last new car you'll ever be able to buy that's a sports sedan that has a V8 engine under the hood, because everyone's moving to 6 cylinders. Even, probably going to be looking at 4-cylinder vehicles in the future with, obviously boost from electric motors. But, this car is old school, and I love it for that reason. And I think this will be a phenomenal collector's car one day. I think that, 20, 30, 40 years from now at car shows, people will be, oh, that was the IS500, that was the V8, that was like the last sports sedan ever made with a V8 in it, So I think it's a really unique collector's item. And I think it would also be, a ton of fun to take around the track, just of how it builds the speed, builds the power. The RPM max out is around nearly 7,200 RPMs. So it's a high revving V8, and it has, I believe, around 382 pound-feet of torque. So not a ton of torque for how big the engine is, but it's that 472 horsepower that really make all the difference, and that's a lot of fun. When you're driving a turbocharged vehicle, once you get into the higher RPM band, it kind of conks out. The curve is, you get most of that power on the low end. But in this car, it's the complete opposite of how it builds power. Once you pass that 4,000 RPM mark all the way up, it's just a nice, the sound's just amazing, not to mention just how nice it feels, really just building that speed at those high RPMs. Really lots of fun. Really makes, driving more exciting. And love this car for that reason. Again, does it handle perhaps as well as the M340? No. Is it as fast around the same speed? But this car is going to give you more thrill and more smiles going around the track than, say, competition at this level from Mercedes-Benz, BMW. And that's because the naturally aspirated V8 engine that sounds stunning. When you get on it, sounds just absolutely glorious. And I'm so happy that Lexus, and shocked as well when they announced they were putting a V8 engine in the IS. Are you kidding me? That was like crazy. So super happy they decided to do it. Love this car for what it is, and I think it's going to be a great value. It's going to be super reliable. It's really going to hold its value well. Again, I think that it will definitely be worth far more than the sticker price. This will definitely be a collector's car, and yeah, I think that everybody should take advantage. If you're into collecting, sports sedans, I think this is a great one. And the only downfall of this car would be the transmission. In Sport Plus mode, it's okay. We'll put it in manual mode to demonstrate. Really takes a long time to get those gear changes. Long time, and that's always been a complaint in the F models. It sounds really good. Always been a complaint in the F model. Still is. The gear shifts are so relaxed, so slow. I mean, especially on the downshift. On the upshift, it's not that bad. It's not as good, as others. But it's just really a bit slow. And that's unfortunate because it is costing the car some speed. Oh, God, this thing's so amazing, though. Once you get into it, oh, my gosh, so much fun. So, sure, is there a little more body roll than M340? Yeah. Is it, a little slower on the gear shifts? Yeah. Does it matter? Nah, not really. It's just all fun. And especially when you get into it a little bit, it does give you a little more snappy shifting, Yeah, so it's when you get on the brakes, it definitely it does adapt a little bit. When you're heavy into the brakes, it will adapt those shifts a little bit, make them a little snappier. Do a little rev match there, but guys, this car is so much fun. I am sad to see that this will probably be the last. I hope they make it for 2023. They probably won't, but we'll see. And what would be even more amazing, which I don't expect to see, is that they gave the IS a full update, both on the interior, really on the interior. Did a few performance tweaks to it, updated the transmission a little bit, and came out with the IS 500 again, which again, they probably won't do, but that would be exciting. Another unique thing, another cool thing could be to see the IS 500 return with the V8 engine and an electric motor to make crazy power. They can make an IS 500F. That would be really exciting. We could put about 500 horsepower into the hood from the engine, add another 200 or 150 for an electric motor, instant torque. I think it would be a monster, absolute monster. But that would probably never happen. Just a dream. But anyway, guys, if you have any questions at all about the IS500, please let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. Please feel free to drop them in the comments below. And until next time, I'm Kyle with Unboxed Autos.